Trey Lance was 17th. Mac Jones was 40th.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the blurb that caught my eye and hit me in the heart. When everything clicks for Mac Jones, he regularly settles into being a decisive and very productive distributor of the ball. And I agree with that because he was surrounded with arguably the greatest weapons anybody's ever had. You say, well, so was Joe Burrow, but this was something that he had because when you have Najee Harris as your safety valve, as your check down, he is so good at catching and running with the ball, it's going to help your stats. It's going to help improve that 77%. And the USA Today goes on to say, but it's hard to tell whether he can provide an actual spark as an offensive catalyst, as he was seldom faced with being out of his comfort zone in Alabama, because you know and I know it was arguably the best offensive line, so he had the best protection, and he had the Heisman Trophy winner at one receiver, and for a while he had Jalen Waddle at the other, and you can just keep going down the line, but he had Najee Harris as his safety valve. So the point is that as I go to Lance Zierlein of NFL.com, who's been doing this for years, and he is really good at this, he's got all kinds of issues with Mac Jones, and he's breaking down hardcore tape. And here are his negatives on Mac Jones that he considers in the end a good backup to low-end starter potential, okay? And remember, you're talking about the third pick in the draft. Okay. Here are the weaknesses from Lance Zierlein. Very thin lower body and struggles to fight off rush contact because there's not a lot of rush contact that he had to face very often.
So how was Tom Brady's lower body? How they called Joe Montana chicken legs. They called him chicken.
Okay.
So what did this call somebody chicken?
Hey, I know Joe Montana very well, and I know his game very well because Paul Hackett was one of my closest friends who was his quarterback coach. He was a ballet dancer in the pocket. He had some of the greatest pocket feet ever. And you forget that Joe early in his career, he was extremely mobile.
Yes.
He was elusive mobile. He could run RPOs because Bill Walsh sort of invented the RPO.
Right. But I'm saying, Skip, not when he got to the league. I'm talking about coming out of college. When you look at Joe's body, and you look at Mac Jones' body, take body aside, Skip. When you look at a quarterback, you can't look at him and say, man, what?
All right, okay, fair point. I'll keep going. Negatives on Mac Jones from Lance Zierlein. Slow ball handler on RPOs because it just didn't matter. They didn't need to defeat you with RPOs. They just threw the hell out of it.
How often are they going to run RPOs, Skip?
Okay. Average release quickness, which I agree. Joe Burrow's looked a lot quicker to me, my eye test, than Mac Jones' release looked. So did it matter with Alabama? It did not. Locks in on targets rather than honoring the progressions because his first option was always so quickly, so open. It's easier to say, I'm going to throw it to Devontae this time, and he's going to win because you know he's going to win, what, 95% of his battles? Okay. Doesn't play with the desired poise of an NFL starter. Antsy when reads don't quickly come together. Play can be panicky and rushed in the face of pressure. Has trouble locating open targets in the direction where the heat is coming from. Would like to see him play with a little more grit. Those are all the negatives from Lance Zierlein.
Can I ask you a question? Name the quarterback. What's the guy, you said the guy's name?
Lance Zierlein. He's really good at what
Lance Zierlein. Name the quarterback. When they start dialing up pressure, can go through his progressions. Did you see what happened to Patrick Mahomes, who we believe is the best quarterback in football? What happened in the Super Bowl? We look at Tom Brady, those 5 games they lost in the regular season, when they dialed up the pressure. So can you tell me, do you believe, can Aaron Rodgers run the exact offense that Lamar Jackson is running in Baltimore, and can Lamar Jackson run the exact offense? Of course not. Everything is you base it around the quarterback skill set. What does he do really well? How comfortable can we make him doing it in our system? Yes, we're going to, what they do with Lamar. They say, you know what, to hell with our system. We're going to put him in a system that works for him, and then we'll build out from that. That's what you're going to do with Mac Jones. Whatever quarterback you get, Skip, you build the system around the quarterback that you have. That's how you do it.
Now we get to Bob Sturm, who covers for The Athletic. The Cowboys, breaks them down. He does a great job. And he also ranks every year all the NFL draft prospects, especially the quarterbacks. So he has Mac Jones by far his 5th ranked of the 5 top quarterbacks. And his conclusion is that he's worth a 2nd-round grade But to talk about top 5 overall, he says, seems a real stretch to me. He will go quickly, but that doesn't make it advisable. That's his bottom line. And he goes into all kinds of second and third level observations. But in the end, he said the first problem he has is arm strength. He says his arm strength is by far the worst of the top 5. But he also says that it's only slightly below average by NFL standards because the top 4 have big arms, okay? So he's saying it's just glaring by comparison to the top 4, okay? And yet, he even makes the point that for all those concerned about Trey Lance's lack of experience, Mac Jones is pretty much right there with him in terms of starts and time on the field. So let's not overrate how many snaps Mac Jones has taken at Alabama.
One play in the SEC, the other play in the FCS. Now, which one would you give the higher grade to?
I got you. But I'm just saying, on pure snaps, and my friend Tom House, who coaches Brady and did Coach Breeze and about all the top prospects, I read a piece with him yesterday, and he was saying that experience really matters to him when he's trying to see which quarterbacks will work at the next level.
Right.
Because it's just hard if you haven't done it.
Right.
It doesn't even matter against competition. You just need reps. And it concerns him that Trey Lance and Mac Jones don't have that many reps that you can build a dossier on. You can say, well, because if you go to Zach Wilson, you can look at it and say, man, he was a starter for 3 years. The first year was pretty disastrous. Second year was a little better, but nobody saw this coming. And then last year was off the charts for Zach Wilson. So you say, okay, I got a big body of work and I got progression over time. I see getting better, and then getting great in his third year, right? Okay, Justin Fields, you have a little bit bigger body of work.
He was a 2-year starter.
At least a 2-year.
But the one thing that you saw, Skip, he might not have, but what you saw with Mac Jones is here. You didn't see this, and you didn't see that. What would you see with the... I don't care what anybody says. Trevor Lawrence did not play as well his sophomore and junior year as he did his freshman year.
He did not. I completely concur
You
with
look
that.
at Justin Fields, he had an up and down. He played great. I still believe he played great against the first game he lost to Clemson. He played well. He made a mistake. But go back and look at Northwestern. Go back and look at Indiana. Find the game in which Mac Jones didn't play well. In the big moments. You see him at Ohio State. You see him at Notre Dame. Did you see what he did in the SEC Championship? Did you see what he did against Georgia? Now, we think a lot... Now, I don't know if LSU going to have anybody, but Skip, you can't do... Joe Burrow was the Heisman Trophy winner. His offensive line was the best in the nation. Clyde Edwards-Helaire went the first round, so he's the Najee Harris. They had the Biletnikoff Award winner and the guy that opted out, Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson went number 14 and could have been Rookie of the Year. So don't give me this.
I'm not sure his offensive line was the best in the country.
Well, they got the award. They got the award for being the best in the country, so I don't know if they were or not.
On NFL picks, they weren't loaded with NFL players, but go ahead.
No, Leatherwood is going to probably be a first-round pick. The center that tore his ACL, he could be a late first-round pick, maybe a...
Oh, you're talking about Alabama. Okay, but I'm talking about LSU. I'm not sure they had the best.
I think Skip, when you throw for the amount of yards that this kid threw for, and Edwards-Helaire rushed for the amount of yards, you got to have the best offensive line in football. Now, and they ain't say anything about, oh, Joe Burrow didn't go through his read. They don't think Jamar Chase had 20 touchdowns. Jordan Jefferson was right behind him with 18 to 19. Then you got Terrence Marshall coming out this year, who's going to be a second-round pick.
He could be late first.
So let's not pretend like Joe Burrow was throwing the scrubs. He was throwing the FCS or Division III.
But I'm just doing my eye test on Joe Burrow versus Mac Jones. It looked to me like Joe Burrow played stronger. He stood stronger in the pocket, and he's more athletic than Mac Jones, because Joe Burrow, when he took off,